The Backrooms, the mysterious and seemingly unescapable expanse you go to when you're unlucky enough to have no clipped out of reality. Made up of an infinite number of levels, the Backrooms have not yet been fully explored, much less built in LEGO. But in this series, all that changes. Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of building the entire Backrooms in LEGO. Throughout this video series, I'll be building the first 9, aka the most important levels of the infamous Backrooms. Last time I built the first and most famous level, which is level 0, aka the lobby, as well as the surface, representing reality. All inspiration for this series is from the Kane Pixel series here on youtube.com, link to the Backrooms playlist in the description, and the Backrooms wiki. Today, I'll be building level 1, also known as Habitable Zone. But before I get into that, I want to thank you all for the support on episode 1, which has been crazy. At the time of recording, the video has almost reached 5,000 views and has gained me almost 200 subscribers. Seriously, thank you all so much, and let's get back to the video. This level closely resembles an empty parking lot or warehouse with concrete walls and pillars, as well as dim fluorescent lights and exposed rebar. There's a low-hanging fog in some areas that sometimes condenses into dark puddles on the floor in random spots, but don't drink from them, you'll find out why in a minute. Level 1 is far more varied with staircases, elevators, and hallways, while level 0 was consistent in its image. In the Habitable Zone, you can also find random wooden crates of supplies filled with food, almond water, which is a recurring object in the Backrooms, and weaponry. This aspect of it, as well as the fact that, unlike level 0, there's a stable supply of electricity and water, gives the level its name, the Habitable Zone. However, it may not be so habitable after all. This level may be more resourceful than level 0, but it's no less dangerous. In fact, it may actually be even deadlier than the previous. The Habitable Zone is home to several entities as well as colonies, which I'll get into later. In terms of entities, you can find dullers, which are creatures that emerge from the puddles that form due to the fog, which is why you shouldn't drink from them. There's facelings, which are entities resembling humans but that don't have a face. Hounds, humanoid creatures resembling large dogs with sharp claws, a large mouth with sharp teeth and long matted hair, as well as skin stealers, which, well, the name says it all. And last but not least, scratchers, which are slender figures with no eyes, possessing claws of up to a foot in length that make a scratching sound when nearby, giving them the name. And if all those entities weren't enough, there's also colonies, which are different groups of people with different goals and an array of survival gear and knowledge of the Backrooms. The most common in level 1 is the Orderly Republic, but the one that caught my attention is the Raiders, as they were mentioned in the Backrooms Explained video about level 1. The Raiders have 68 known members and are willing to trade with travelers but are hostile to certain colonies. They plan to eradicate every other colony in the Backrooms, claiming that establishing politics would make it an even worse place than it already is. They do this by stealing and taking over colonies, but are currently not very strong. Now that you guys are all caught up on the lore of level 1, let's get building. For the figures, I'm going to build one of the Hounds as well as one of the Raiders. I started by building the Hound, and I did this by using the Demogorgon minifigure from the Stranger Things set, which I think matches the look of the Hounds closely. I added studs at the bottom to make its legs longer, as well as a black hairpiece to represent its unkempt hair. Next, I started working on the Raider. Using reference pictures online, I used dark tan explorer pants and torso, as well as a backpack and a handbag to show that the Raiders are nomads. I gave him a helmet with some goggles, a knife as an accessory, and a white rubber band around his leg to represent gauze, since the Raider might have been wounded by one of the many entities lurking around. Now that the figures were done, it was time to start building the actual level. Before I lay down the foundation, I decided to build one of those wooden crates with supplies. I built it using brown bricks using a snot technique for the sides. I tiled the top off but left an exposed stud so I could place a bottle on it to represent a bottle of almond water. I once again am building on a 12 by 12 base in order to be able to stack the levels modularly. I began by working on the floor of level 1. To do this, I'll be using dark gray tiles with a few dark gray plates to add texture and the effect of dilapidation. I also added a few dark translucent tiles here and there to represent the puddles formed from the fog. I left exposed studs near a corner to build one of the pillars. Speaking of, here's how I made it. I used a mix of regular and masonry light bluish gray bricks with a snot brick at the top, to which I attached a tile to represent the numbers on some of the columns. I repeated this process for the walls of the parking lot like space, using mainly light bluish gray bricks with a few patches of masonry bricks to depict more dilapidated parts of the walls. Now that the structure was done, I placed the crate in the corner as well as the Raider and the Hound watching him. One of the features I noticed in the description of this level on the wiki is that the level has exposed rebar on the ceiling and walls. I decided to recreate some on the ceiling, so I had to do this on the bottom of the level 0 build from last episode. After having put the placeholders to keep level 0 in place on top of level 1, I used a variety of bar and clip pieces to create some decent looking rebar and attached them to the bottom of the base of level 0, and the build was done, so here's what it looks like. Once again, guys, if there was any part of this video you enjoyed, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss when the next episode drops. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.